Well, hello everybody. Welcome to Here's Your Deal. Here's the deal. Wow, talking is not my friend tonight, Shallow. I don't know why we're doing.
All right, Marvin.
It's September 5th, 2023.
Mhm.
Tonight we are going to be talking with Gavin Wince. Millie couldn't make it. Sounds like she isn't feeling the best, so we're hoping the best for them. And we're going to be talking about the QuX TV and what it's going to mean for your future streaming services and other stuff. So, how you doing, Shiloh?
Pretty good. Pretty good. I am excited about this. I learned about this when I was down there at the election summit, and Gavin and Millie were down there. And so, as you know, I brought two boxes home, and we're setting them up. And Gavin's been good helping us. So, with that, let's bring Gavin on and let's talk about this.
Yeah,
How you
absolutely.
doing tonight, Gavin?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Great, great.
Pretty
So as I
fantastic
was
for Tuesday.
as I was saying, I met you guys down there at the election summit and was visiting with you and Millie. And this caught my attention, and I'm really excited about it. So, can you just start us off on what it is, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. Basically, back in 2018, when Millie and I were working for InfoWars, and Alex Jones got banned from multiple platforms simultaneously, we were really freaked out by it, because Millie's YouTube channel was one of the only channels associated with InfoWars that didn't get banned. It was basically Millie and Paul Joseph Watson, who, for reasons that we couldn't quite figure out, weren't wiped out with the big ban. So, from our perspective, it was only a matter of time before we were going to have to figure out something. And at the time, we were looking at buying a new home. Millie was, I believe she was pregnant with our second child. So it was a very, very sketchy situation. So we started trying to figure out we need to do something, right? Like this is not a situation where we can sit and weather the storm, because from our perspective, it was only a matter of time before the next shoe dropped. So I started reaching out to people I know who are in software development, computer scientists, computer engineers, and really went down some really deep rabbit holes as to, one, how was it even possible that the whole thing happened in the first place? What triggered it, right? Like I'm one of those people that likes to understand first principles, first cause, because if you can understand what caused something, you can know what to do to not cause it again, right?
Right.
And so down the rabbit hole I went, and I was introduced to a group of people called the Counter Extremism Project. Now this is a very interesting group. They developed a software back in the, I'd say, early to mid 2000s that was designed for basically filtering social media of child porn and terrorist recruitment videos. So they began offering their service to the various platforms to say, hey, you guys have these beheading videos, you got child porn problems. We have software designed to basically look and identify that content and flag it. What ends up happening, though, is that that filtering system was then used to go after political opponents instead. So the very same technology that was used to stop child pornography from going on websites and social media platforms, and the same technology that was used to try and stop ISIS recruitment videos, was quite literally what was used to take Alex Jones off the air. So then it shouldn't come to be a surprise that you'll see videos of Alex talking about the time that he was put on an Interpol list, that he was being deemed as a domestic terrorist. And what this
Mm-hmm.
has to do with is that in order to use these type of software, you have to be able to check boxes, right? Like, is this kiddie porn? Is this terrorist content? So they had to classify him as a terrorist, in order to be able to use the tools that take down terrorist recruitment videos to take his content off the various platforms.
No, you said this was back in 2018, right?
Correct.
So way before the current social media war that we have going on now.
Oh yeah, way before. So I actually was put in contact with the Counter Extremism Project and had some very interesting conversations with them. And next thing we know, and at the time period, you can go see a video of Alex Jones talking about Noam Chomsky sticking up for Alex's First Amendment rights. And that's because I had reached out to people I knew that were involved in computer science at MIT who know Chomsky real well. And we saw it as a good opportunity for Chomsky to stick up for Alex Jones because Chomsky is not a fan of Alex Jones, but Chomsky's an avid advocate for First Amendment. And his point is look, when we defend the First Amendment, we have to be willing to defend all speech, including speech that we find offensive and speech we don't like, because as soon as we start using tools of government and big tech to go after our political opponents, it's only a matter of time before those tools are used against us. So not only did we reach out to people like Noam Chomsky, more the reason being having to do with computer language, computer science, and getting to the basis of how this is even possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
I spoke with the inventors of the ARPANET, those that were still around, people involved in creating the NSA database collection system, people that worked at DARPA for security, all kinds of just, getting into the weeds of what are we looking at here and what is this? Well, what we end up finding out is that there were inherent flaws in the internet, in the electronics, in software that ultimately compiled over time. So when they first came out with the internet, the idea of security didn't really cross their minds. It was more about, can we actually network computers successfully? Security and privacy, these were afterthoughts. It's part of the reason why companies like Microsoft are always having to create patches for viral software, is because everything they developed didn't anticipate the level of chicanery that picked up and that we're now dealing with. So what you end up finding out is some very interesting stuff. Would you like me to get into some pretty technical details here? I mean, because this is it's very involved.
Well, you have it behind. Yeah, you have it behind you right there, right now. Before we do that, now we're talking about the censorship part of it, but I also want you to comment a little bit about, like the selling of our information and controlling, and I guess you kind of did comment about it, about controlling what we do see and don't see and stuff like that. So could you comment on that before we actually do the demonstration?
Yeah, well, all these things are intimately connected. The best way to start is to talk about how computer networking even started in the first place. Back in the late 1950s, it was very expensive to run computers, and it was very expensive to use a computer because you technically could only have one user at a time, and there was a lot of people that needed to use the computer, so it was very expensive. So a guy by the name of John McCarthy came up with a concept called time sharing. And what it does is it allows the computer to log users' data while they're using the interface. And then the central mainframe of the computer can work its way around the different users. And each time it comes around, it sees the data log of what keystrokes and what the user had previously done. And it basically was able to maintain a continuity of experience of using the computer. So you could then have, 15, 20, 100 or whatever number of people using the computer all simultaneously, while their experience felt as though they were the only individual using it because there were no delays and lags. So this is part of the beginning of where data logging and user data being logged in a central mainframe started. So let's jump forward several decades to the late 90s when we start having cloud services pop up. And all a cloud service really is just time sharing, but on a larger scale. So notice back in the 1950s, all the user data was stored in a centralized computer. Well, now we've migrated into, rather than our devices holding our data, we're using cloud services, so all of our data is held remotely. And that's basically nothing more than good old time sharing. But now, instead of having a central mainframe keep track of where each user is relative to their keystrokes, it's actually they're able to put AI into the central database and spider and scrape through all the different data and use that for behavioral analytics. So what was originally used to give us more than one user on a single computer is the gateway for how data collection started, and now how we have all of our data kept in centralized servers and being analyzed by artificial intelligence algorithms.
Well, that's why when you talk about things you need to buy at the grocery store around your phone, next thing you know, when you're trolling on Facebook, there it sits hitting your wall for suggested stuff.
Exactly. Now, what's interesting about that is, notice they call that surveillance advertising and targeted advertisements,
I would
right?
say that's infringement of personal rights, but
Well, look at the terminology, surveillance and targeting. Where do you associate that nomenclature,
oh, for those 3-letter agencies we don't talk about.
right? So here's the irony. The very same technology that they used with drones in the Iraq and Afghanistan war to target terrorists, right? Because what would they use? They'd use email, cell phone ping location to identify the location of the terrorist, and then what would they send them? A smart bomb, right?
Yep.
So the irony is this same technology has been commercialized and it's being used for surveillance advertising and targeted ads. So the irony is now, instead of them sending you a smart bomb, they just send you a smart advertisement. So it's quite literally the commercialization of surveillance technology mixed with data logging. And here we find ourselves today essentially in a constitutional free zone inside our electronics. And the key to this is that basically we click on all of their terms of service and agree to it. And in doing so, we're waiving our rights. So what became apparent is the Achilles heel to the modern technocracy is that if we could basically come up with our own internet, our own electronics, and our own software, designed it around no data collection, take encryption to a level that nobody else is doing it, we would be able to do several things. One, we'd have a network where we wouldn't have the same vulnerabilities as we do on our existing technology. And two, by not having data logging, there's nothing for the AI to spider and analyze.
And it sounds like you should be writing election software, not entertainment software.
Well, you have to start somewhere.
Right?
And a lot of the heavy, deep discussions that I could go into as to how and why we did what we did tends to go over the average person's head, which is a lot of the reason why we have the television subscriptions available in QuX, is so that people can wrap their head around one simple thing, and that is, on QuX you can watch your regular television shows without the TV watching you, so you're being cut off from that surveillance advertising mechanism, and also get a reduced price in your TV service. So then someone can just buy the box, watch their regular TV shows, and then they're quite literally just one click away from all the other different features and censorship-free content we have inside QUX.
Perfect. Well, why don't we talk about what exactly you have for like services and stuff on the device for a minute,
Mm-hmm.
just so we can take a break from the technical.
Yeah,
Like,
right. So because QUX is a standalone system, we can do everything on it and have to do everything on it, including having our own payment processing capability. So like companies like PayPal, Venmo, these services are what are classified as third-party networks. And the reason why is because they're using someone like Visa, MasterCard, Chase, or what have you. They're using those financial institutions to do the payment processing, and they're essentially just white labeling it themselves. So you'll notice if you get like a PayPal card or a Cash App card, it'll have a Visa MasterCard logo on there because that's actually who's doing the payment processing, not the third-party network. So when we made our own payment processor, because we're working directly with the financial institution where the funds are being held, we're actually a second-party network.
so
So we're
straight to
actually
source, you don't have any handling fees. That saves you guys a ton on cost, I'm sure.
exactly. Now, obviously, we have some transaction fee,
Yeah.
and the transaction fees we have, which are minimal compared to other things, is what allow us to basically so that you guys can upload for free on QUX. You guys can stream for free on QUX. You can set up your own channel for free on QUX. You can create your own store on QUX. So the transaction fees internally is what's basically covering the cost for the bandwidth so that you can essentially use it comparable to what you're used to as far as having things either inexpensive or free.
Well, and that's really nice. As somebody that's had their own business in the past, I remember like credit card transactions were upwards of 15 to 20% depending on what company it was. So not losing that profit has to be nice for everybody.
Well, think about this. Amazon and Apple and a lot of these other platforms charge upwards and typically on average about 30% the gross. So if you're
Gross.
selling stuff on Amazon, it fluctuates. Sometimes it's a little over, sometimes it's a little less, depending on what it is you're doing. But on average, most of these platforms charge a flat 30% off the top, right? On
Right.
QUX, it's just 5% to convert what we call tokens into dollars. So essentially, anyone doing any kind of business on QUX gets 95% of their gross rather than like 30%
I'll
or
give a shameless plug right now. We have this podcast on there right now as we're streaming,
Mhm.
Is it
and I
up
put
there?
my yep,
Perfect. I
and
got
I put my horsemanship uh, portal on last night too as well. So I'll be having videos on there as well. So I'm completely excited about this.
Now,
So
what's really cool is you guys can monetize on QUX just like all the other platforms. But
mhm.
what's nice is you're actually in control of your own monetization. So
Yep.
you work out the deals with advertisers, not us. And the advertisers are able to work out deals with content creators. And basically, the idea behind QUX is to remove all of the middlemen and all of the gatekeepers and all of the unnecessary stuff in between and put audiences, content creators, merchants, and advertisers in direct relationship with one another. And one of the ways we do this is that the viewers actually choose their own ad experience. So what typically would happen is and this is something that we've been testing and we're going to launch when the store launches. And basically what it is that you select, so remember when you set up your portal, you saw all the different categories, right?
Yep.
So what you would do is you would select in those categories the type of ads you're willing to see, right? And when we're talking about ads, we're talking about like 90 seconds of ads per hour at most, rather
Well, that's
than
nice.
12 minutes of ads, which is the average. Or
Wow.
YouTube, I don't even know how many minutes. Like, I can barely use YouTube anymore. Like, if I'm washing the dishes or doing yard work or something, it's almost like the microphone can hear that I'm doing some kind of thing where my hands are busy. And here comes the, like, literally 20-minute ad about health or working out or diet or something, or, and it's like,
Yep.
okay, this is not an ad. This should be considered content, because, like, we're going on like 20 minutes here,
Yep.
So no, when you said that the users can choose the ads, that means they're not going to get bombed with like Department of Health ads or
Correct.
stuff like that. It's going to be, okay, so I'm looking for cars. You can pick like automotive ads, stuff like that. That's out there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or the
Because,
holidays are coming. Let's see who's got, stuff like that coming up.
yeah. And we're talking ads that can even be like garage sales on the local level. Like, when
See,
we're
that's
saying ads, we're talking anything. And we want to give the advertising capability to average people, because if you think about it, what is an ad? What should an ad be? An advertisement should basically be a, here's some products I have you may be interested in, right? But wouldn't it be
Right.
nice if you could pick and choose which ads it is that you're seeing, right? So here's the trippy part. So all the members of the audience pick their ads, right?
Yep.
Pick what their interests are. What you guys are going to see when we unlock the store feature and the advertising platform, you're going to actually see analytics of what your audience selected for their ad experience. So you'll see like 80% of your audience is into, I don't know, like fishing, let's just say. So then what happened, and this would be something you wouldn't otherwise know, right? Like, oh, wow, interesting. My audience is really into fishing. Well, let's say there's a tackle and bait company that wants to run ads on QuX. They can go through all the different content creators' content and go, look, this guy over here, 80% of his audience is in the fishing gear. So then they can contact you guys and say, hey, our ad campaigns match the demographics of your audience. Would you be interested in us running ads? And so that's essentially how it works. So then what ends up happening is the ads that do play on your content are things that your audience was actually happy to see. So it increases the potential for an actual sale. So the advertiser's not just throwing money to the wind, right? And you guys are able to monetize by showing advertisements to the audience that the audience appreciates seeing, right?
Yep.
And then the fun part is you guys get 20% of the gross on the ad revenue.
It's
Nice.
not
No,
bad.
that's really cool. I noticed when I was looking through when I first opened up the box, you guys had the different cable packages. So, like the price points on those were really good too.
Yeah.
I know in town it's going to be less of a deal, but when you get to rural communities, like the cable packages you guys have set up look really good.
They
And
are really good cable pack. Like, and half the reason why we went with it was, why not? Like, we were able to make, and this is kind of interesting, we were able to make a deal with the licensor for the cable content that they don't have access to our user data. And part of the negotiation in that was, because we have a secure and private network that we're doing everything on, it eliminates the potential for piracy. Like, you quite literally can't pirate the TV content out of the QX box, similar to how like Kodi and other things are used for piracy on other Android devices. So the fact that we had our own device, it was secure and private, they thought giving up on the data collection for our particular customer base in exchange for having no piracy was worth it. So what we do is we give them a serial number in order to access the content, They have no idea what that serial number, who it applies to, or what they're even watching. And so we're essentially the first television subscription you can get where your TV's not watching you.
See, and that right there to me is worth, if it is a little higher, that right there would be the selling point to me.
The irony is it's
Ye-
half as much.
Yeah, like the
know,
packages were super cheap. I think the basic one was like $19.99 a month, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yep. And I think that's 108 channels, wasn't it? Somewhere in there.
108 channels, and then our most popular one is $45 a month, and that's 172 channels, and this includes OEN, Newsmax, Fox, ESPN, a bunch of Christian content, kid content, movie channels. We've even got HBO and Showtime in our premium package. And what's even more stunning is people asked, well, are you guys going to have Netflix or Hulu or anything like that? And it's like, why would I need to have Hulu or Netflix when I quite literally have a license for tens of thousands of movies, series, and podcasts, including movies that are currently out in the theater? So you know how,
Yeah.
like on Prime, you can pay
Mhm.
like $29 or whatever to watch a movie that's out in the theaters. Well, we're
Yep.
going to be able to offer that real soon.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's
So I
really
see.
neat.
Go ahead, Marvin.
No, that's really neat. Like I have it hooked up downstairs, and like I kind of said in that blurb that I did, like comparatively speaking, like we have a new generation Apple TV, which we love, but that's
Mm-hmm.
because we buy a lot of digital movies.
Mm-hmm.
But like quality comparison, just the overall stream, the speed of the stream once we got everything figured out was really nice. The picture quality is right next to it. You run a monster cable in, and the quality is match to match, which is nice. Um, the storage, having that on there, I'm assuming, is because eventually the big problem you have with tech is why your phone becomes obsolete is the operating system takes up more and more space. Are we going to run into that with the QUX, or is that storage capacity? So if you wanted to plug in an SD card with like photos and stuff, you can display on there, or um, I was curious on that aspect of it, having that micro SD slot and what that was for.
That's exactly what that's for. Also, the fact that we have multiple USB ports. The idea is that, like, when we have our messaging capability come out in about 4 to 8 weeks, where it's basically our messaging thing is it's similar to if you took Zoom, Telegram, and Signal and mix them all together. Oh, and WePay, and mix that all together into one app. That's what we have literally just right around the corner. And so you'll be able to do video messaging over your box. Like literally, people will be able to have living room to living room video calls over the QX box using their phone or web camera connected to the box. And that will all be in a private, secure network that's inaccessible to third parties.
That's
So,
really nice.
See, yeah, I was gonna say, because I know, like our group up here, they're really interested in that. They're wondering if you could do Zoom calls and different things like that, and so that's what you're talking about here. I mean, even for, like up here in oil country, the big oil companies, they could use that technology as well, and not have to worry about,
did you guys
people
see the
knowing.
QuX Enterprise device on our website, the QUX Enterprise?
I did.
Yeah, we've got some things happening with the oil and gas industry that I wish to be a little bit discreet about. But let's just say if things go as we think, we're going to have quite literally a mesh network deployed nationwide that can be used as an alternative to an internet service provider. So when we get that mesh network set up,
It's
if
gonna
you
be
happen to be
awesome.
in an area where there's, oh, I don't know, some pump jacks, pipeline, trucks driving by, industrial buildings, places where we have our QuX enterprise device set up, that can quite literally be piggybacked as a mesh in order to have offline internet access.
Yeah, no, that was super neat. I was kind of reading on that. I'm an Apple guy. I always have been, but I went to school for it. Originally went for animation and illustration at the dawn of like the Pixar stuff. So when you've had work stolen from you, like your internet security is huge.
Mm-hmm.
One of the biggest mistakes I think Apple made was getting rid of their routers. I don't know if you ever dealt with the airports or anything like that, but the way you could set those up, the security that you could set them up with a closed network and that 5 gigahertz where nobody was finding your network unless you gave them the name.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw the enterprise and I'm like, well, that is really kind of a neat step for encryption because it seems like anymore it doesn't even take much more than somebody literally taking 30 seconds to look at one of your posts and you're banned for a week. And that's what I like about us being able to set up to live stream right to this box is literally Shiloh and mine's first week. Our old YouTube channel got banned for a week.
From a video at an interview I did 2 months ago. Yep.
And so like not having our content banned and not having to worry about the security and not having to worry about that stuff is awesome.
Right? Because this is really dangerous territory we're getting into. Because honestly, first of all, we have the right to be wrong. Right? We have the right to say something incorrectly. We also have the right to say things that are offensive to other people, right? Offensive is taken, not given. And I'm 48 years old, and it wasn't that long ago for me as a young adult that we seem to have gotten past a lot of these issues that people are trying to bring back and rekindle, like racism or tribalism amongst various different groups. It's like, we were way past that stuff when I was a young adult, and it's really upsetting to see it being brought back and weaponized and used as a tool to basically go after everybody's freedom. When the reality is, if we all just tolerated each other, we could all respect our boundaries and do, whatever it is that we choose to pursue happiness through. Right?
Yep.
And so that's one of the beautiful things about the way we set QuX up. And as you guys have seen, we have an elaborate rating system so that basically each user can pick and choose what they want to see. If you don't want to see certain content, you don't have to look at it. Why does that person who put that content up that you don't like, why do they have to be restricted when you can simply just flag it so that you don't want to see it anymore? Or whatever, you know what I mean? Like it's pretty easy to navigate one's own choices, in my opinion.
My favorite rating that you put up there was FS. Why don't you tell folks what that's about?
So we have a free speech rating, and we have a free speech and a questionable content rating, which are unique to what we're doing. And the idea is, okay, we'll make the free speech rating over 18. That's easy enough because what that does is mean we can have cussing, swearing, some vulgar language, right? And basically anyone who's a consenting adult, if you're willing to look at the free speech content, you really, how are you going to bitch and complain? You chose to go look at that stuff, right? But then the irony is that because people like controversy, though the free speech rating may be isolating content, it's probably going to be the most popular rating where people go look things, or even more so, the questionable content rating, which is where we would probably put like shooting videos, things that have violence in them, surveillance, or the CCTV or whatever, camera footage, body camera footage, things that technically are legal, but maybe a little bit more than your typical free speech content, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So it's basically, if you just put content in places where people have to choose to see it, they can choose not to see it. So if they, if they're a little sensitive to something, they don't have to have it bombard them unintentionally.
I did have a question pop up here.
Hmm.
What are the taxes and fees for that? And what are the FCC fees? That was about 9 minutes ago. I think that's when we were talking about the cable services.
There's the only fee may be sales tax. That's the
And
only fee.
and that'll be a regional sales tax. So like Bismarck, we're 7%, man, down there 7.5 or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's basically, there's a sales tax fee on it. There's no commitment. It's basically monthly. You sign up for it. We automatically bill your card, and when you want to cancel or upgrade or change a service, we can do that at any time.
Now you're
Awesome.
just talking strictly the TV subscriptions,
Correct.
right? Because like the portals and stuff, the content that you make, you don't have to have a subscription to that.
No.
And that's another thing that I really like about this. So everything that we're doing as far as our podcast,
Hmm.
that's free for people to view. My horsemanship stuff would be free to view. And I went and looked at some of the content and stuff. I mean, there's a wide variety from Christian based stuff to, kind of like
Cooking
what you were
shows.
talking about. Yeah, cooking shows to people recording their pets and different things like that. So it's actually quite a variety on there. So,
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of YouTube when it first came out, where it's
mm-hmm,
just an eclectic mix of just all kinds of random stuff, which
yeah,
is nice because you're actually seeing a genuine set of content that's not curated by an algorithm, you know?
yeah,
And we've got a couple features where basically you can modify the search to very specific, because obviously we're going to need the ability to index and catalog content and make it easy for the end user to navigate through everything we have to find what they're looking for. But again, it's about the end user using their own free will to end up where they want to see things, not having the content curated for them, algorithmically, predictively modeled for them. It's just basically it's like a beach that has no lifeguard. Swim at
yeah.
your own risk. Take responsibility for yourself. We're not here to babysit people.
Gotcha. So I see you got your screen up and stuff. Would you like to do just show us around it a little bit and see,
Sure.
let our viewers kind of check it out and
Yeah, you'll have to excuse my the lighting's kind of harsh, and I don't have the best internet down here in the basement, but we'll make do. So here, I'll pull up the television stuff, and here you can see we've got all your regular TV channels. I can't really see it that well. Let me.
yeah, your light bulb is right. Kind of.
Yeah, right. There we go. I mean, I'll make do. In fact, maybe I'll just
Yeah,
Well,
slide
we
out.
just move him to full screen show.
sure.
Here we go. Hold on.
There you go. I got it.
Is that a little better?
Yeah, there you go. You got
Sorry
the
about
show.
that. These
Sorry.
studio lights are out of control.
Do it again, Marvin. Sorry.
Nope, there we go.
But basically, like here's this. I've got the premium one set up for demonstration purposes, and you can see we've got pretty much everything on here that you could ever imagine. And the nice thing about having all the traditional content is, for one, not all of it's that bad, but two, you can peruse through this without your viewing history being monitored, right? So, like, if
Okay.
you want to watch OAN or Fox News or BBC or Bloomberg, CNN, Newsmax, whatever, that's not going into some predictive model program that's you know, collecting behavior analytics from you. So this is pretty
Gotcha.
cool. And we've got a lot of stuff on here coming as well. Let me get back up to the top. It's a lot of channels I went through. There we go.
Yeah. That's the premium package, and how much is that one?
This is $114 a month. And this
114.
has HBO, Showtime, Stars.
It's got all of it, huh?
Yep, and then we have what's called Catch-Up TV.
Can you put it up just a little
There we
bit so we
go.
can see the? There you
Yeah.
go.
So we've got Catch-Up TV, which is basically gives you like 10 to 2 weeks back. So that's kind of nice. And then recordings, which is similar to DVR. So this is
Okay.
basically just the television channel content. And then going back to QX, so this circle icon here,
Yeah.
I can move this without unplugging it on accident. Let me turn that. Here we go. There we go.
There,
So
that's
this
better.
circle icon here, that's what we call the portal universe. And that's where basically all the different portals are. Let me pull this up real quick. Take a minute to load. So right here, I can
There we
click
are.
on this.
Yep.
And let me turn the volume down.
There we are.
So there we are live on QX. And what's cool is we've got live chat over here. And in the live chat, we've got emojis. So you can do all your traditional jumping in and having something to say. But what's also cool is we've got the store feature. So this is where if you guys had products for sale or a sponsor, you could have the products listed right over here. Oh, look, we're going into the infinite regress. So you could have your products here, and that would be that.
Which, by the way, we will be adding that soon, so we do have some.
And then let me get over to the store. 1 second. So over here, where I got lost in this thing. There we are.
So you're using the remote right now. There is also a keyboard that.
Oh yeah, I've got one
purchases.
upstairs. Do you want me to go grab that real quick? Show it to you?
Yeah, if you want to show it off,
that'd
because
be great.
we're both definitely interested in one.
Yep.
Yeah, so here's the store. And these are all just kind of dummy stores we have up for right now. We're waiting to launch this. We just needed to make sure our payment processor can't be abused. So we're having a couple hacker teams mess with the payment processing and see if they can break it. But basically, this is where you guys could have your products for sale, and then people could come over here, pick on their product, and quite literally buy it. And then
Sweet.
You'd be able to go to your shopping cart and check on your orders, so on and so forth.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm really excited about this. This is a great.
Oh, I know you've been talking about it since you were down in Nebraska.
And let me show
Missouri.
you like an example of a portal someone made that I really like. So here's where you can click on and see all the different portals. You can search the portals here, and then there's going to be some tools here to basically curate your search. So this guy right here, I believe it's this one, made a really nice portal, and you can see he's got his different content that he's posted on there, and up here he's got a trailer for his channel. And it's basically like, you know, if you take the best of all the different platforms out there and mix it into one, you know?
Nice.
So yeah, that's kind of a general overview of QX. And obviously we're going to move into having a lot more right here. People are going to be able to have applications inside QX. and all kinds of stuff. So, and then you can see we've got some test portals right now that the devs are working on because we've just upgraded our server to be able to hold more storage for you guys. We just bought 2 more servers, and so once we get the testing done, you guys will be able to stream in 4K, up to 4K, and upload videos up to 4K. So
Wow.
this is going to be pretty fantastic. And as you can see, we've already got Lindell TV, WVW,
Yeah.
Rudy Giuliani, Pete Santilli, and quite a few others coming on board with QuX.
It's gonna be great.
Yep.
So when we talk about this technology, Gavin, we're not just talking this little box. I mean, we're talking big picture phones, laptops type stuff.
Yes. Phones, laptops, tablets, and other things.
Yeah. That is.
So.
The other things you'll have to come on and talk to us. Talk to us about when it's time.
Well, do you have an Apple TV?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
He does. I don't.
Go look in your Apple TV. You'll find QuX TV in there. So you could quite literally download the QuX TV app for the TV subscriptions in Apple TV. And we did that as a capabilities demonstration to show that, look, we can be inside their devices, but they can't be inside ours. See?
What about a Google TV? That's what I just got.
Well, it sounds like
if you go to Google Play, you
Yeah.
should be able to find the QuX TV app inside there, and you could watch the television subscriptions that way. But you'll notice
Gotcha.
the Portal universe, that can't be inside anybody else's devices because that would literally compromise the security of our network. So basically, you can see the TVs as like a sandboxed app, quite literally a sandboxed app within our environment, and soon we'll have a browser so that you could go browse the internet without the internet even knowing you're browsing.
So I noticed you have what 2,300 users. So we're
the last we count,
growing.
we're closer to 3,000 right
Are
now.
you?
Yeah, we need to update some of those figures. Yeah, we're about 3,000 QX boxes out there right now, and somewhere between we got about 7,500 users because you can have multiple users per each box. So.
Well, and like today, before you were coming on, I did a bunch of reading, and there's all sorts of articles on this thing going back a couple years, but one of them that struck me is like that this is a pro-Trump ultra-conservative device, and for the way I see it as a return to that net neutrality where you gain your privacy back. So I don't know why that would be considered ultra conservative or right wing, but I remember
they're stupid. I mean, if you look on here, hiking expeditions with Carl, does that sound like some conservative right wing thing? Or
no.
or beauty wonders, or love to love guru. I mean, half this stuff sounds kind of left leaning, if you ask me. Right? Skate with me. I don't know. Is skateboarding a right wing thing?
I spent 10 minutes watching somebody's dogs roll around on the floor the other night just because
that was funny.
Amazing.
Or surfing, it's like, and to be honest with you, I think what it was is when they attacked us, they didn't know what they were doing. And what's funny is I troll the shit out of those guys, excuse my language. And I go like, cause like now it's like, this is hilarious to me. It's like, cause when they did those hit pieces on us, it was when we just did our Indiegogo fundraiser. We had like a couple demo boxes that we had tested, and we're like, okay, we can make this work. Let's raise a couple $100,000 or whatever we can and make this thing, right? And they were attacking us before we even had anything. We just had the fundraiser videos and stuff. So to then, a couple years later, go back and say, remember us when you talked all that trash? Well, check us out now. I'll go on this one guy's videos, like the same old video where he's talking trash, and I'll go troll him. He'll have my comments deleted within minutes. Because
Man,
I'm
you are
like,
living rent
and
free.
what I'm usually saying is, here, can I just send you a box and get an honest review? And I think what
Yeah.
it is they're embarrassed because the reality is, who wouldn't want this thing? You know,
Yeah.
this is so like, this has nothing to do with right wing, left wing, anything. It has everything to do with freedom. And everybody of all political leanings want freedom, right? I mean, aren't we Americans?
Yeah.
So,
And I mean, that's one of our inherent rights, isn't it? Is
yeah,
freedom.
last I
Yeah,
checked.
Yeah.
like I don't have to agree with what you say, but I still have the right to say it, and you still have the right to say what you want to say. I just think the last 5 years has been so much screaming at each other that everybody's wrong, that everybody forgot to have a conversation.
Exactly.
So, like
So,
when I saw that crack earlier today, I'm like, man, they got to be living rent free in his head at this point.
so if someone is interested in one of these, how do they get them?
They go to QX.tv and order
.tv.
one. Uh-huh. Or they can just call the phone number and talk to me because right now I'm doing a lot of the customer service, getting ready to start training some people. Because as basically president of the company can only be as good as
Yep.
like I need to be doing, for me, even though I'm president of the company, I need to do the customer service so that from the top down, I can be making sure the company's catering to the
Right.
needs of the customer more than the needs of the company. Because this isn't about becoming $1 billion company so that we can all buy yachts and shit. This is about us being able to have basic freedoms and creating a community of people who are willing to work and fight together to maintain those freedoms.
Yeah, and see,
And I
that's
do believe we have a coupon code too
We
if they
sure
go to your
do. Uh-huh.
website and it's
And
HTD.
if they use the coupon code HTD, they get $25 off the box.
which
Okay.
pays for the keyboard, so that's a win-win in my book.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
There you go.
The one,
Did you want me to go grab that keyboard, by the way?
yeah. Why don't you go grab that?
Yeah.
Keyboard?
Okay.
I'm gonna quick
I'll take a
in between.
2-minute break here. I'll be right back.
No, that's
Sounds
fine.
good.
Uh-huh.
So I'm gonna hijack the screen here real quick, Shiloh.
Or wait,
Sure.
never mind. You know what? Well, actually, no. I'm gonna go get it. All right.
No, that's fine. Share screen. I get it. I want to show this. Real quick, we have this event coming up this weekend. It'll be Rick Green. It's America's Constitution coach. Yes, honey. Yes, I'll make s'mores when we're done. You have questions. Okay. We'll get to my wife just texted us. Anyway, Rick Green is going to be up in Williston at Trinity Christian School on the 9th at 6. He's going to be here in Bismarck at Shiloh Christian School Sunday the 10th at 3:30. Doors open at 2:30. This looks to be a really good event.
I grabbed the wrong thing.
If you hop over to our website, I
posted
information on this, and yeah, it looks like a really good event. I spent some time on the website today. We have that link that's going to be on our website where you can go check them out. What they stand for, what they do, and it's some neat stuff. So make sure that if you got time this weekend, you're in Williston, you're in Bismarck, go check this event out. It looks pretty awesome. So I'm going to stop sharing.
Sweet. Thanks for that, Marvin. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, and I'm still working out the kinks on information and getting things up. So
yeah.
As they come
My
out,
hat goes off to you, bud, because you've put a lot of work into this the last couple of weeks to get it to where it's at, and And so I do really appreciate all your hard work on this, because I know it's taken you a lot of time and effort, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. So
Perfect. Well, I mean, if we're going to do it, we may as well do it right.
yep.
Not saying you were doing it wrong before, but setting up a web page if you haven't done one before can be frustrating.
Shoot.
Yep.
This is what
Gavin-
happens when the kids get a hold of stuff.
Oh no, I get it.
I can't
Um,
find.
Got
the
a
right
9 and a
doggle
7-year-old.
for
I know how that goes.
it, right? Can't find the right
Gavin,
doggle for it, but
I do have
here's the
one more
keyboard.
question. Oh,
here's
that's
what it looks like.
nice.
And so basically, you can use this to do all your messaging and everything. And then you flip it over, and it has a mouse pad on the bottom side, and you can use that to navigate around, and arrow keys and stuff. So, and it's nice. It's about the size of a phone, so it's just real easy, and it plugs in. It's got an on and off switch, so you can save power. So that's the keyboard.
Unbelievable.
Awesome. I'm gonna have to put a
You
leash
guys
on
thought
that.
of everything, haven't you?
So, all right, let me get this back in. So anyway.
So couple quick questions.
Uh-huh.
We use StreamYard for
Hold on a second.
moment.
I lost my earpiece.
No, that's fine.
There's a lot more chaos than anyway. All right. Go ahead.
So we're using currently StreamYard to get out to all of our stuff. You can
Uh-huh.
use YouTube, obviously, but eventually are we going to be able to have the camera set up just to stream straight from QuX out to our other sites? Or
That's a fantastic question, and the answer is absolutely. So what it is there's a service similar to StreamYard that's actually open source, and it's called OBS.
Okay.
And we're going to actually fork our own copy of OBS so that basically it becomes our version of OBS. And that'll be inside the creator dashboard where the live stream is. So you'll basically be able to use our version of OBS to push your content out to not just QuX but platforms outside the QuX network.
Okay. So give me a second here. I got a bunch of more questions.
Mm-hmm.
How often do updates happen? Are they automatic or do you have to manually run them?
It's a combination of both. At some point it'll be mostly automatic.
Okay.
But like for right now, what'll happen is like when we have the updates for this stuff come through, what'll happen is your box will basically do kind of like what it did where it shows the logo and does all that stuff. It'll reboot, or I'll push a notification out, hey, there's an update. But at some point, basically your box will force you to update it because the operating system is no longer responding the way it's doing new things. Does that make sense?
Well, and I'm sure a lot of the updates will be security patches and stuff too. So
all kinds of stuff, yeah.
So that was question one.
Mm-hmm.
Question two, so as long as the QuX app is downloaded, you can view anywhere, not just on a home network.
You mean
so
for
like
the TV subscriptions?
for the
Yeah.
TV subscription, yes.
Like for instance, on my phone, I've got it right here.
Mm-hmm.
There, and then what do I got? Got Fox Business playing. Let's see. We can get the network down here in the basement. It's one problem with this basement studio is the internet sucks down here. But yeah, you can access it anywhere.
Okay, perfect. So on the go, it's easy to grab.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last question is, and I think you kind of touched on it, was and anything that would be available through the QuX box can be viewed through the app. Yes, for like the TV, but no for the portals for your podcast,
correct,
stuff like that.
The messaging, so we're kind of limited on what we can have accessible through other devices and not create security vulnerabilities.
Yep.
But basically, the payment app going live from a device into QuX, using a device like your phone as a remote control or keyboard, or the messaging feature, we can get away with a lot of that without compromising our network because we've got enough encryption that that's not an issue. But to give access to the private network itself, that would become very problematic because we
Yeah,
use quite literally TSSCI level clearance protocols to get in. Like, I don't know if you guys noticed, but when you actually registered your box, did you notice that you were actually registering it to you as you were doing the process? So rather than using two-factor verification, it's quite literally first-person verification, where you're attaching the box to you as far as it's your email address, your login credentials. Like, I've got no idea what any of your pins or passwords are. You know what I'm saying? The most I can do is look up an email, and if you want me to update your password, I can do that for you, but then you can go change it and fix it, and I have no idea what you've
the
done.
the one question I did have while we were playing around with it this weekend is if you have to reset the box to scratch. Is there a little pinhole anywhere or anything like that?
There is, but I don't recommend doing that.
Okay. Well, I noticed one, but it looked like it was on the bottom of where the micro SD card goes. And I'm like, I don't think we want to push that one.
Yeah, because then what will happen is, well, that's something we could try. You can do a factory reset. Like, you can dump everything. Like, when you plugged your box in for the first time, it didn't have any software in it. And what it does is the very first thing it does when that little blue line's running across is it's actually putting in the firmware. And that's one of our
Gotcha.
security features, so that basically, we can't control the manufacturing 100% per se, but what we can do is control the encryption keys and control who has access to the software. So the factory we work with has no access to the encryption keys nor access to the software. And let me tell you, they looked at us crazy, like, well, how are we supposed to know if it works or not? And what it is we'll tell you if it's working or not. And they're like, so you just want us to make these things and just ship them and not have the ability to make sure the software is going to work? And we're like, yeah, that's fine. We accept that. So when you get your box, you'll notice there's a thing called the app date. It's neither an application nor an update feature. It's something that we created where it's basically a little piece of software that just says hello to our server, and then the server responds with, okay, what's your MAC number? Oh, your MAC number's in my database. Okay, I'm going to grant you entrance, but first you need to register, and we need to make sure that as you're registering, we have you as a customer. So you're quite literally integrating your box into our network, going through that process. So like I said, we're using TSSCI clearance protocols for getting in and out of this thing, and it's kind of
So
fun.
you're at 264 or higher for encryption then, yeah?
From the box to box, and box to server is what is it? 356, 256. I can't remember off
No,
the top of my head.
256, yeah.
What is
Sorry.
that? 256-bit encryption, right? Yeah, that sounds about right.
256, sorry. It's been a
But
day.
our network itself is multi-layered 4096-bit encryption. So
Sweet. Good luck.
it's obscene. It's actually, we picked a particular level of encryption where brute force hacking is statistically impossible, right? However, there's always that one chance, right? So we have some interesting honey traps around our network where if someone were to foolishly try to do a brunt force hack into our network using AI, that AI is going to very easily end up in a honey trap where now we're running trace routes and reporting the individual to cybersecurity teams.
Well, and case in point, so that our viewers understand, the ES&S software that they use in your election machines is 64-bit encryption.
Well, that's ridiculous. Like,
So
even, what is it, 148, I believe? Because I think it doubles.
it doubles.
Each.
So 128 would be the next.
Yeah,
256.
128, that's what it is. That's not even used anywhere anymore.
Yeah.
I thought they weren't on the internet, Marvin.
They're so vulnerable that, is it on the internet or is it just naked?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's a conversation for a different day. But I wanted that case in point out there because when I was campaigning, the last certificate that I found was actually running on an old version of Windows, and it's been updated since, but still not where it needs to be. But it's running on a 64-bit encryption for the base operating system. And granted, that's the base operating system, which you need in any machine. But like for you to say that these boxes are at 256, like that's nuts for your security folks.
And we're not saying it, and it's not software encryption.
Yeah,
It's
that's
hardware
hardware
encryption.
encryption. So that is a lot to your privacy. Because 256 is what? Is it a billion years to crack or a trillion? I can't remember.
It's like a billion or something.
Yeah, it's
The
ridiculous.
the 4096 though, that literally is infinite.
Yeah,
That gets into weird issues in mathematics
yeah,
about power sets and how long it takes to, how many, like if you think about it, basically 4096 bit encryption is 2 to the power of 4096. But when I say it's layered, that means, okay, so now put that 2 to the power of 4096 itself to the power of 4096, and that to the power of 4096. And it's basically like, good luck.
yeah. They're not getting into it, which is nice. No, overall, like we're still playing with it. I know Shiloh and I had some fun time with it this weekend. The portals, the big thing I want to see coming, that's the simplest, is like the how to set up your podcast, stuff like that. And I know you're going to be doing YouTubes on that, so keep us posted on that so that we can get people informed too.
Not only videos, but I want to start hosting workshops where basically we have a large audience of people. You know what I'm saying? And people can discuss, interact, show things they've done. But really and truly, we need to get used to thinking of QX as a community, because that's what it's built to enhance. Think about a small town. If you had a bunch of people get on board with QX, you could get all your local stores, shops, businesses all on there, and now everyone's able to treat it like a yellow pages, white pages bulletin board to know what's going on locally. People could host church services on QX for people who can't make it, or local sporting events like a Little League game or whatever. The local pizza shop could run ads on it. You could click the buy button and actually get the pizza delivered while you're watching the game. It's really to give all the regular people the same tools and capabilities that big tech is offering, but without the spying, the data collection, the exorbitant fees, and the potential to be canceled forever.
Another question I see pop up here is, if you want to delete a profile attached to an email, what is the best way to go about that?
To delete a profile attached to an email, you just go in and delete it. Like, so for instance, if I'm correct, if I understand the question right, let me get back to the here. So you see I have all these user profiles? I can
Yep.
quite literally just go up here, edit profile, and just start
And delete.
deleting these. Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Gotcha. Well, I really appreciate your time, and I ever since I ran into you guys down there, and the more I've been learning about this thing, I can't tell you how excited I am about it. I think this is going to be phenomenal, and once you get everything to where you want it to be, obviously, with something like this, it's you continuously grow and change things. So I can't tell you how excited I am. I know as of right now we're 100% behind you. We want to push this too, is get it into as many people's hands as we can, because I believe in it that much already. So
Well, what's a trip is, if you think about it, if we get enough people inside QX, we're now able to interact with each other in all the same ways we're used to, but more streamlined. And nobody has the ability to know what the hell any of us are doing if they're not privy to any of those activities. So people will be able to have private chat boards, group discussions, just you name it, and people will be able to freely express themselves. If you don't want to be in this particular group, or you don't want to see these conversations, you don't have to. Or if someone's trolling and you want them not party group, you can remove people. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then the other thing is, there's no bots. Bots are quite literally impossible in QX, because the only way in here is with a box. And if you're to run a bot farm, that means you're having to go buy a bunch of boxes and run those somehow. I don't know how you would run this box. Maybe a robot? I mean, what are you going to do? Have a robot with a remote control? Like, it would be extremely, it wouldn't work well to try and use bots in here. Or what are you going to use, like 50 fake credit cards? Like, it's not going to be easy to game QUX in the ways people are used to being able to game Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, etc.
So data mining becomes a thing of the past.
100%. Yep.
Perfect.
That's awesome. Well, Gavin, I really appreciate your time. Do we have any more questions, Marvin? I haven't seen any questions pop up, so they must be popping up for you.
Yeah, they're hitting my regular Facebook page. No, could you hang out for a second after we end the broadcast here, though, Gavin? Perfect. So I think that's all we got for now, folks. We're gonna have more information coming out. It's an amazing device. I can't wait to see as it grows what it's gonna do. So
amazing tool, yeah.
I've been impressed, and it's hard to do.
I encourage you guys to go to their website and check it out. And if you decide to grab one, use our coupon code HTD and you'll get yourself $25 off. So, but yeah, go and check them out. And this is not going to be the last time we have him on, that's for sure.
And I definitely recommend getting the keyboard.
Yes,
wasn't able to demo it because I couldn't find the right doggle. It's like, do you know how many of these things I got laying around the house?
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I can about imagine. So,
all right.
You sounds good. Night. I'm gonna put you in the studio just right quick, and then we'll end here, and we'll talk again. So, all right, that was Gavin Wince, everybody, with the QUX. Like I said, I'm really excited about this thing, and I don't even really know how to use it to its full potential. So
yeah, right.
But
well, and next week we're gonna have Sheila Walker on with us, the gal running for state senator down in Hawaii, so that'll be good. Definitely going through
not just Hawaii, but from Maui.
Maui.
So we're gonna
From
have a
Maui.
live report from there. Yep.
So we got a lot of stuff going, folks. Bear with us as we grow. We're excited.
You bet. I know I am. I mean, and again, can't thank you enough for all your hard work on the technical end. And so, but yeah, next week it's actually going to be September 11th, a special day. Obviously we aren't gonna, we'll remember those that we lost that day. But the thing too is Sheila lived like 5 blocks from it. She told us when we were talking with her this weekend from the Twin Towers. So
Yeah.
it's kind of amazing how things work sometimes, how the time, that people come on, it's the timing of it is really good. So I'm excited for that. So with that,
Yeah.
have a good night, everybody, and we'll see you next Monday at 8 p.m. Central on Here's the Deal.